In this video, we're gonna walk you through how to pair your Elebia Hook to your Elebia remote, whether it's the eMINI or the eMAX.
The reasons you may need to do this, you're adding a new hook to your inventory and you want to use an existing eMAX remote, or you just purchased the eMAX remote and you want to start using it with your hooks. So the first two things we need to do, number one, is we're going to need to go ahead and turn on the hook, make sure the hook's powered on. Secondly, we're going to need to come find this data plate and go to the serial number. It's going to be a 5-digit number. You're going to want to get that information, and then once you have that serial number, you're going to want to come back to your eMAX remote. When you're back at your eMAX remote, you're going to want to be down in the bottom selection queue. You're going to want to move over to the settings cog, press down on it. It's going to prompt you with hook. You're going to press right on that to get into hook. It's going to have a list of a lot of different hooks and then 5 digits able to put in. You're going to hit right on that again. It'll take you to the serial number. Now we're gonna go through and we're gonna enter that 5-digit serial number, which is the 05945, and we're gonna come back to our remote where we're in hook 1 setting. We're gonna take that serial number and we're gonna go ahead and put that serial number in here. So it'll be 0, 5, 9, 4, 5. And once you have that serial number put in, it's very important that you hit the right button, and it's going to reach out, and you should know you're paired to the hook because it's gonna give you a beep, and you're gonna now see this green Wi-Fi signal on there. You can then go ahead and proceed to back out to the home screen again. And when you get to the home screen, you're gonna be able to come up onto your hook now. There's gonna be a battery life indicator on it, as well as the Wi-Fi button telling you you have a good connection. And you can do this now by testing. You should be able to hit the open button, the hook will open, hit the button and the hook will close. Once the remote is paired to the hook, it's paired until you have to manually unpair it. Now with the eMAX remote, the way to unpair it is you come back into the settings, you go into the hooks, you select the hook you want, you go into your serial number, and you just zero it all out. You click confirm on it. It'll say no active hooks. You click it again, and now this remote is unpaired from this hook. How to check and change the hook parameters as it relates to frequency and reach using the eMAX remote. In order to find these parameters, we're gonna go down into our menu bar on the eMAX remote, and we're gonna move over to the settings cog, and we're gonna push down. We're gonna go into our hooks, and we're gonna select our hook that is currently paired with this remote. You're gonna come down to where it says parameters, and we're gonna come down to radio. In the radio, we have the two options of frequency and reach. The first thing we'll want to do is click on the frequency, slide it over. We can see that our frequency level is 9. With the frequency level options, we have 8 and 7. Those are the 3 main frequencies that we can have these hooks set to. So as we can see, our frequency is currently set to 9. If we click the back button, we can see that our reach is set to 0. Now where understanding what these parameters are becomes important is when you're trying to pair an eMINI remote. It can save a lot of the back and forth process of trying to change frequencies and ranges to pair with the hook. You can come right in and already see what you need to set the eMINI remote to frequency-wise and range-wise to get it to pair immediately with the Elebia product. So you just want to make sure the frequency and reach is the same, so when you pair it, it pairs right away. Now, if we wanted to change what frequency and what range we have these set to, because we want to keep certain hooks on certain ranges, we would go through that exact same process of coming down into these settings, go to the hooks, select the hook that we want, come down to the parameters that we want, come down to radio, you come down to your frequency, and you can change the frequency level, and then you confirm it by hitting right on the D-pad. That will lock in that frequency. If you don't hit right on that D-pad, you're not gonna lock in that frequency. So we'll lock in 9 as the frequency, and same thing with reach. We'll lock in our 0 of the reach, and then now we have our frequency and range changed on the hook. Pairing the eMINI remote to a Elebia product hook. And there are a couple different style eMINI remotes out here. We have the first generation eMINI for this demonstration. So what we're gonna do, the first thing you wanna do is you wanna start with your Elebia product off. So you're going to find the manual open and close button. You're going to hold that button, and then you're gonna push the power button and hold it until you hear a fast beeping frequency. You're gonna let go of that. You're gonna come back to your eMINI remote, and you're going to push the mode button. There should be a chirp back for the hook to the remote that you're paired, and then you are now able to push the Elebia button on the remote to function the open and close. What you can find sometimes is you might have bought a new remote or a new hook and you can't quite get the two to pair together. The main cause for this is that the frequency the hook is set in and the frequency the remote is set in are different, or the range that the hook is set in and the range that the remote is set in is different. And once you have those paired together and you know what frequency and range it's in, we can talk about how to change that on the hook. So what you're gonna wanna do on the eMINI remote is you're gonna wanna come in and you're gonna wanna hold the mode button, and you're gonna hold it, it'll blink, and you're gonna get a 3, and then we're gonna push the Elebia button 3 times, and it's gonna start taking us through a range of letters. We're just gonna continually hit the mode until we get to F. So F, so it's telling us F9. So we are in frequency 9 and our range is the R value and our range is 0. So those are the two values we're gonna wanna change. Those need to match the hook. So to change your F value, you press and hold the Elebia button, and it will change. Now we're on frequency 7. So to try frequency 7, we'll wanna let the remote sit for about 20 seconds to go back to normal mode, and then you would go through your pairing process with it at F7. If it doesn't pair to your remote at F7, you will try F8 and then F9. Those are the 3 different frequencies that the hook could be in. If you get through the 3 different frequencies and you still can't pair, try each frequency at, instead of the R0 value, you're gonna wanna change it to the R1 value. So again, to do that, we're gonna hold the mode button down until the number 3 pops up. We're then gonna push the Elebia button 3 times, and now we're in parameters mode. So then we'll continue to push the mode button this time until we get to the R value. So there's our frequency. You can see we're back at frequency 9. I push it again, we're at R0. I'm gonna hold down the Elebia button again. And now we are on R1. So what I'll do is I'll let this remote time out for about 10 seconds, and I'll go back to my remote pairing process and try with my frequency at 9 and my R at 1. If that doesn't work, I would change my frequency to 7, keep my R at 1, try that, and then go to my frequency 8, R1, and try that again. At some point, you will find the frequency and the range that you're on, and once you are paired with the hook, if you wanted to change the frequencies of the hook, you have to be paired with the remote, and you go through that same frequency changing process. So as long as the hook is on and you go back into the mode, when you change the frequency on the remote again, it will then change the frequency of the hook. So if you find your hook's frequency is on 7 and you want to get it to 9, you need to make sure your remote is paired with your hook, go through the process of holding the mode button down, getting into your parameters, go to that F value and change that F value all the way up to 9 and let the remote time back out. And then your hook and your remote will both be changed to frequency 9. If you're operating with the new eMINI remote, it's going to have 2 buttons. There will be no more mode button. There's just an open and close button, and it's got a neck lanyard on it instead of the wrist lanyard. The only difference is if you want to get into the parameters, instead of holding the mode button, you're going to hold the top open button on it for the same amount of time, and then push the lower button to get into that 3, 2, 1 countdown into the mode parameters. That's the only difference, is how it looks, not how it functions or how you get into it. So now if you want to unpair your eMINI remote to your hook, all you have to do is turn your hook off. You're gonna go through the same process you do to pair it. You're gonna hold the automatic open button. You're gonna hold the power button until you hear the fast series of clicks. You're gonna let go, and then you're not gonna do anything. Let it sit about 10 seconds. There will be a chirp from the hook, and now when you push the Elebia button on the remote, it no longer opens and closes the hook. That's how you unpair. You may want to unpair if you're trying to use this remote to a different Elebia hook. The eMINIs can only be paired to one hook at a time, so you want to do that if you're trying to use this remote with a different style hook. You can have multiple style remotes paired to a single hook. You can have multiple eMINIs paired to it. You can have the eMAX paired to it. That's not an issue. You can only have one eMINI remote paired to one hook. If you're having issues with your Evo hook, the first thing I would recommend is going through and checking some of the parameters. Checking the battery life would be number one. Make sure you have a good battery life, not only on the hook, but also on the remote. The first place to check is right on the hook and the battery itself. You'll see that there will be a flashing LED light on the hook that indicates at what battery level you're at. If you have an eMAX remote, when the eMAX is turned on, there's going to be a battery indicator on here that tells you what the battery level is at. If you have an eMINI remote, anytime you push the Elebia button, it's going to give you a number. That number is from 1 to 8 as to what your battery life is. When you get down to a 2, this remote will no longer open this hook because the battery life is too low on the hook. If you're having issues with your hook, reach out. We have a full dedicated service team to fixing, repairing, and refurbishing the hooks. We can have stronger power magnets put onto the Evo hooks. That way, if the standard magnet's not quite strong enough to grab your rigging, we can put the stronger magnet on there that can hold more weight. Getting those bigger master links, bigger wire rope slings up in the air.
Hopefully this helps you pair your Elebia remotes with your Elebia hook. We know it can be extremely frustrating when your equipment is not working or communicating properly. If you need help, reach out. We're here to help you with whatever your lifting needs. If you want to learn more about Elebia, check out the playlist and the links below. If you found this video useful, informative, entertaining, or you just feel like being friendly, then hit that like button so we can get this information out to everyone who needs it. Subscribe to the bell so you never miss a video. If you have a question, drop it in the comments so we can get you an answer. Remember, safe rigging is smart rigging. My name is Ben. Stay safe out there.